So for this project, we're going to add sound to our animation. I have an example of what you're going to do right here. So I'm just going to hit play, and you'll see every time the ball hits the ground, it makes a boing sound. And the boing sound actually gets lighter as the ball goes further along because it doesn't hit as hard, so the sound is lighter. So that's what we're going to do today. So the first thing we need to do is start a new document, File, New. It's really important when you're doing an animation with sound that you choose the platform type as ActionScript 3.0. HTML5 Canvas doesn't offer you as many options of things you can do with your sound. So if you're going to do anything with sound, you want to choose platform type ActionScript 3.0. So we're going to choose Education, High. I'm going to set the frame rate for 12 and make sure you choose ActionScript 3.0. Create. So here's our stage, here's our timeline, and our properties. Again, if yours doesn't look like mine, if your tools are different, go to Window, Workspaces, Reset Essentials, and it will set it to the basic output or setup that I have right here. So we're going to just go about making the ball and making the ball bounce like we have in past assignments. If you don't remember how to do this, it's a good time to practice it again. So just draw a ball. I'm going to highlight it, turn it into a symbol. All right, I'm going to go to frame 80 and I'm going to add a frame there. Remember, if you want to change what type of frame, if you long hold on the frame button, it'll give you other options, and I just want to add frame. I don't want it to be a keyframe. So I've now got my ball, I've got my 80 frames, and what I want to do now is I want to convert this into a motion tween. So I'm going to highlight the whole line, and I'm going to go to the motion tween button. Now, you want to long hold on the motion tween to make sure you're creating a motion tween and not a classic tween. So it says motion tween, so I can go ahead and click on it. And you can see it just all turned. So the next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and get that blue dots line that I've had before. So I want to make sure I'm clicked on frame 80, and I can just drag my ball to the other side, and now I have all my dots. Okay, I'm going to save this because I like to save often. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a keyframe everywhere I want to do my ball bounce. So I'm going to start right about here, and what I want to do is long hold, so I'm choosing keyframe. And I'm going to go here. Now that I've chosen keyframe, I don't have to re-long hold every time. I can just click on it. And I'm going to go a little closer together as they get, because a ball doesn't keep bouncing at the same height, right? Oops, I think that one's a little too far away. All right, now I want to go back to the beginning. I want to take this, the middle of this, and just drag it up, and just keep doing that all along. Remember, you don't want to click on the big dot, because see how that makes the angle? You want to click on the little dots, because that gives you the arch. And I've gone through this kind of quickly because we've done this before, but if you need a refresher, you can go back to the assignment to create a motion tween. So now I've created my motion tween. I can see what it does, and all right, now I want to go back to here, and this is where I want to again crunch my ball so it looks like it's actually hitting the ground. So I need to put a frame around either side of it, so when I crunch the ball, it doesn't stay crunched. So I'm going to smush the ball a little bit, then I'm going to go do it on the next one. Again, this is sort of, this should be a review. If you need to slow this down and practice a little bit, that's fine to get the same. So all I'm doing is adding frames around either side of my ball so I can smush it a little bit and it will stay on just that frame. Okay, so let me play and see what we got here. So it did something a little funny right there, but I think that might just be because it hiccuped on the computer. You can also go up to the top here and you can actually play it in a browser window and you can see that it is playing correctly. Okay, so I'm going to save it. Alright, so the next thing I want to do is I want to add sound. Okay, so now I have my ball all set up. It's bouncing, it's squishing. Now I want to add sound. So the first thing we need to do is we need to bring sound into our library. You can see I don't have sound in my library. So I'm going to do File, Import, Import to Library. And I have saved a boing sound wave, which I will have available for you. You can do wave sounds and you can do MP3 sounds. They both work. Okay, so I'm going to open the wave sound and it's going to appear right here. And it shows you sort of a little graphic of what that sound sounds like. So to add the sound to my animation, the next thing I want to do is create a new layer. You can add it into your regular layer, but it gets messy when you want to make changes. So I like to add a layer that I name sound. Okay, and while I'm in here, I think I'm going to rename this layer ball because it's good form to make sure you have each layer named. Now what I want to do is I want to go back to everywhere that the ball hits the ground. So it hits the ground on each of these frames, right? So I want to make sure I'm clicked on my sound layer and I want to put a keyframe everywhere my ball hits the ground. So everywhere I want that sound to happen, I am going to add a keyframe. I think that might be the last one because when it's rolling, I don't want it to do it. And then I'm going to go back to the first one. So now I've clicked on the first keyframe where I want to add the sound. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the sound and drop it on my stage. You don't drag it to the timeline. Okay, if you actually try to drag it to the timeline, it won't let you. You drag it and drop it on the stage. And if I go back and hit play, you can now hear the boing bounce at that spot. All right, and I want to do the same thing for the rest of them. So I need to make sure I'm clicked on that frame, and I can just drag it to the stage, click on this frame, and all I'm doing is clicking on the frame where I want the sound to be. You need to make sure you've added a keyframe there, and just drag and drop the sound. All right, let's save that, and I'm going to go to the beginning, and I'm going to hit play. So not too bad, although I think I want one right there because I like that sort of last little, there we go. Now, one thing is the ball sound is as loud as it is when it hits the beginning as it is when it hits at the end. And I kind of want to change that a little bit. So this is just a preference if you want to edit some of the properties of the sound. This you could be done. This is it. You've added sound. You're all done. You can see it. Okay, but I want to go into some of the lighter ones and I actually want to change the properties of it to be not as loud. So I'm going to go to the properties button. I'm making sure I'm on my sound, and you can see some options come up here. And one of them is effect, and this is where that ActionScript 3.0 comes in, because this will be grayed out if you are not on ActionScript 3.0. And I'm going to do custom. There's some things you can do here. You can fade in, you can fade out, but I want to do custom. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play around a little bit with some of these options. I think I'm going to do so it will fade out. So, oops, I can actually play it when I do that. So I can play it, and you can hear if it's lighter or if it's the same. I can actually play around a oops. I made some extra dots there that weren't my intention. Let's see what happens. Let's see if it sounds different in that So it did, it sounded lighter. The next one I want is to do this one, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to set up a custom effect, and I'm going to play around a little bit so that the sound gets even lighter. Let's play that. You can see it sounds much lighter. It sounds quieter, I guess is the word I should be using. And I can go do this one. So I can choose custom. This is the left and right channel depending on your computer. So it's like the left and right speaker. So I just do both so it doesn't, and I'm going to go do the last one. So effect, custom, and here I want it to be really quiet. All right, I'm going to save it, and let's go to the beginning and hit play. And I can actually practice it or run a preview by going up to the top, and it will. And that's it. That's adding sound to your animation.